guys, so welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Raf got one from the Mr. Arsenal podcast, so hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'm 23 years waiting, but actually can't wait to host Forest on Sunday. The
Yeah, it
Kevin
has been
Campbell
a while.
derby.
Pardon?
The Kevin Campbell derby.
Yeah, it has been a very long while, and I'm sure Kevin Campbell will be undecided in who he want to win.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be there as well.
yeah, definitely. How do you think Arsenal season been so far?
Better than expected. Well, I'll be honest with you, I was better than expected. I thought we'd have again like last season, very consistent patches, like we're good, and then we go no. But apart from obviously the last few games in all comps, because obviously we lost last night to PSV, deservedly so. We didn't turn up at all. But in the league, the league's been a bit of a weird one. The last two games, well, not overall, but last two games in the league: Leeds away and Southampton away. First off, we start off playing a good football we have done all season in the opposition's faces, causing havoc. No matter what the score is at half time, though, we come out a completely different team. We go within ourselves. It's like the handbrakes go on, and they try to protect what they've got, and that's concerning, especially in what happened last night. But over the course of the season, as I say, I'm beyond happy with what I'm seeing, not just from what Arteta's doing, but with the players as well. Obviously, the additions of Zinchenko and Jesus, especially this summer, along with the Fabio Vieira and Matty Turner, who plays in the European competitions when he's fit. They've been good additions, and the main two I mentioned at the start, Jesus and Zinchenko, the mentality they've brought to this team, we saw straight from the off in pre-season. It's sort of carried over. And yeah, we've got a bit of competition now. We're not the complete. We're nowhere near the complete package yet for where we want to be. There's still a few additions we need to make in January and next summer, assuming where we finish next coming into the season. Sorry, but so far, if someone said to me 3 games away from the league games away from the World Cup, your team's going to be top of the league, 2 points away, 2 points clear of City, and only lost 1 league game all season. I would have snapped your hand off that and sent it to Looney Bin at the same time, because recent years suggest that weren't possible, because we don't usually put these runs together. Yet alone the sort of football we're now playing is going back to where we used to play, how we used to play, that aggressive, attacking, freestyle, pleasing the eye football that everyone wants to watch, even the neutrals want to watch. I think the big test that really rammed it home to the media and the naysayers was Liverpool at home. The way we not only we played, but the way we grounded at that result. Dug deep, got Pep back twice, didn't let it get us down again, and just went again and got the third and held out and played as a team.
Yeah, I do watch Arsenal quite a lot, to be fair, and the results that you had this season, especially as you said against Liverpool, it was like it just kept on going, and they got the rewards from it, which it's nice to see Arsenal, because whenever last couple of seasons when that happened, it seemed to go and draw or lose games. So that, as you said, that mentality that they have this season, it's a lot more better and different.
I think in terms of the mentality as well, I think another part of that mentality is what again Arsenal fans saw start the season, second game of the season against your rivals Leicester at home. Saliba makes a mistake. Instead of the fans getting on his back, they're there straight away supporting him, getting behind him, encouraging him, don't worry, go again. And the following week was Gabriel, same again. And it's with what's happening on the pitch is having a positive impact in the stands as well, with the fans in the stands and around the country, around the world, mostly anyway, where we're not. You can go to a game now, the atmosphere for every game, no matter who we play, be it Fulham, Villa, yourselves, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, the atmosphere is at the same level. It's not like it's hit and miss when the fans want to turn up now. And what rams up really home is that literally tickets, it's got gold dust this season. Getting tickets for these home games are, especially away games have always been difficult, but home games have always been sort of easy to get tickets for. this season they're out gold dust. If you don't get them when they first come out, you ain't getting in. And I think that's really round home. And to, as I say, a lot has changed this season that I wasn't expecting so quickly, and I'm enjoying it as it for what it is.
Do you think getting them signings in before you had pre-season helped it with the mentality? I mean, getting Zinchenko in early, getting Jesus in. Do you think that sort of helped blend the squad?
Honestly, that's what I wanted. I said at the end of last season we needed to get. I wanted our key signings to come in before the pre-season got underway properly, and they did that. And this is the reason why, because I wanted them to come in and have that summer to just come in, settle in, gel with the teammates, and not just be rushed in at the last minute. And we're again, like I say, as the question's put there, we're seeing the benefits of that because they've come in, they've settled in straight away, and they've had that time to gel over the pre-season, and to the point where until Zinchenko got injured recently, he was literally keeping Tierney out, and Tierney even for a neutral, Tierney's been our number one left back, and no one's come near him in terms of since he's been at Arsenal in terms of a left back opposition. Obviously, we saw Tavares last year, not really what competition wise. So Tierney sort of got, and we saw the back end, and we needed that, but we needed someone that's good enough to be there in case Tierney, because Tierney, and we'll get into party later, they're injury prone, and we've got in Zinchenko. What also comes with Zinchenko and Jesus is that winning mentality for Man City, that they're not just coming to as a step down from City just to be a top four club at some point. They want to win the league again with Arsenal. They want to win the European Cups, the FA Cups, the League Cups. They still want to win that. And we saw that from the get-go when they first came in their statements, in their interviews with their teammates, and how they've operated individually and collectively. And again, it was a smart thing. I wanted Arsenal to do it, and they did do it. It's a smart thing to do because we're seeing the benefits of it. Because we see so many times in other clubs, and we down the years Arsenal have seen it under the last few years and of Wenger and the season under Emery and all that. We target these players, but we drag it out. We try to penny pinch here, penny pinch there. I think the last two summer windows, we're now seeing everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, and we're not penny pinching anymore. We're not going, oh, you want this, well, we'll give you that, and this, that, and the other. No, we're identifying players along with Arteta. If he says he wants it, we're getting it one way or the other. It's not, oh, well, you want him, but it's going to cost this much. Do you want an alternative? Because we saw that under Unai Emery. When Unai Emery came in, he wanted Thomas Partey that when he first came in. And Arsenal went, it's going to cost this much. Actually, there's a cheaper alternative in Lucas Torreira. And we all know how that worked out for the players and through Unai Emery as well. So there's more cohesiveness as well within the club a bit upstairs as well, in terms of they actually are listening to our manager now. And with that, he has no excuses now. And we are seeing benefits in terms of the positive results, the positive performances, in general, positivity around this club. As I said, there's a bit of nervousness at the moment because of as I say, performances have been hit and miss in the league in terms of start off well, second half we go, and then last night that sort of worried people. But not for me. I mean, we as I said earlier, we're not the complete package yet. We're not far off, but we're not complete. We've still got to get in a. We need to go and get a backup for Partey, because if Partey getting injured or suspended, as we're seeing, Xhaka can't do it on his own alongside Sambi. Sambi's too young. It's not working at the moment consistency wise. El Neni's now injured, so we now need to go in the January window and go and get someone who's going to be like Zinchenko has been in terms of coming, same sort of quality as our first choice midfielder there in Partey. They can also push him, but also be there just in case we need him in terms of an injury or suspension to Partey, because it's more so injuries, because that's all we've had with Partey in terms of his longevity at the club so far. Is he does get injured at the wrong times, and we can't afford that to happen. I think we need to go and get another. I honestly do think we need to get another striker in, because not for Jesus or anything like that, but to keep Jesus on his toes because Eddie, he ain't. He's so far. He started off like the bounce of a new contract at the start of the season. We saw there's a bit of a bounce there, and it's just worn off again. He's gone within himself, and it doesn't look good. So we do now need to go and get an actual striker. And I think if we got Champions League last year in the summer, I think we would have bit the bullet and let him go for nothing. But the fact we didn't, Arsenal sort of panicked and thought, you know what, save us from panicking and getting two strikers, we'll get Jesus in, but then we'll give Eddie a contract, and if it doesn't work out, he's got a long-term contract. We can still get a fee for him instead of losing him for nothing and financially doing us over even more. So I get what I said at the time. I got what they were doing, but we do need to act in the window coming up. We can't do what we did last year and just lie on our laurels and hope for the best because our squad isn't deep enough for us to go deep in Europe or the domestic cups alongside mounting a challenge for finishing in the top four.
Yeah,
Something's going to give basically. You know, I really don't want it to be the top four because we need to get back in there ASAP before the Super League or but name format comes in a couple of years' time.
yeah, that's the thing, and I completely agree. I mean, watching from that side, it's always been that sort of depth that let Arsenal down. They always remind me a little bit of Forest as well with that sort of depth that both teams sort of similar in with it. And even last night against PSV, it's sort of shown that you put a very strong team out, but then you struggled with that PSV played as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think my thought process behind that is in terms of obviously PSV, the players themselves, they're used to playing as a team. They're used to playing the week every other day sort of format in terms of League European Cup, League European Cup. The bulk of our squad, apart from in terms of you got the experienced players of Partey, Xhaka, and all that. The bulk of our squad haven't really played together in Europe or at this consistent, like as I say, playing on a weekend, midweek on a consistent basis. And as we've seen in the Europa League so far, from the first game onwards against Zurich, Arteta's gone strong with these teams, and it's having it's now catching up with us because of the fatigue's kicked in, as we're seeing like last night, and yeah, I mean, it would be a more helpful with a bigger squad, but that will come. And I think if we were to finish in the top four, no matter what, first, second, third, fourth, whatever, come the summer, we will make the additions to have a strong enough squad. So this time next year, what we're seeing now won't be an issue because also not only with the players we've got have that season experience now that getting now, the additions we'll bring in will also have that experience from their respective clubs that they're coming from, and we'll kick on.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that to a fair. I mean, especially with like your Martinelli, your Odegaard, your
Mm.
Jesus as well, with Saka,
Mm.
obviously, that's like your main front four, and obviously
Mm.
with Ferreira coming in and Marquinhos, who looks promising in Europe.
Mm.
Um, what do you think you start with your main four with what I just said, or do you think Ferreira might play with it being like a Forest, or how do you
Um,
think you how do you think you will line up?
Well, for Sunday itself, I think we're going to go. Into, I'll do the entire 11. I think obviously Ramsdale will be in goal because he's our Premier League goalkeeper anyway. And apart from last night's mistake, he ain't done much wrong this season, so he'll be in goal. The back four, what I think Arteta will do to what I think he should do is completely different. I think he will go with Ben White at right back, Gabriel Saliba, and Tomiyasu at left back. Even though I'd rather him put Tini at left back, someone who's more natural in that position. And it's game time. He's game time as well, but he ain't going to get that. You can't give him. If you ain't giving him European minutes, he ain't going to get much game time. He ain't going to improve his fitness and his match fitness, etc. But I think he'll put Tomiyasu there because that worked against Liverpool, and ever since then that's what he's doing. Midfield, I think Partey and Xhaka will be the midfield pivot, and then the front four will be like you say. I think it will be starting wise, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Jesus down the middle with lots of Fabio on the bench. And I think Fabio will be brought on about, I'll say around 60, 65 minutes. He'll be brought on maybe just to give one of the players, either Saka or Odegaard, a rest. With
Yeah.
Thursday in mind, because obviously next Thursdays are now a must win to top our group.
Mm. Yeah, that probably the sort of level I'd probably expect to see from Arsenal, to be fair. Obviously, watching the All Nothing documentary as well, I mean, it's sort of like opened my eyes a lot more to Arsenal, like, especially with Arteta and his management, and it's shown in the changing rooms quite a lot as well, with especially when in the FA Cup game last season,
Yeah,
and how passionate it is. And I mean, it definitely gone up from my expectation, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely. Don't mention that FA Cup ever again. I don't know what it is with Forest. Every time the last couple of times we played you in the FA Cup, it's at your place, and you always beat us either 4-2
Yeah.
or 1-0. You always turn up against us. No, with all jokes aside, no, no, I was watching that documentary as well. We did bits on my channel for that as well at the time, like watching it back and this, that, and the other. And that particular episode, where it featured on that game and all that, and seeing how he was at full time. Yeah, he walks in straight away. Doesn't allow anyone to say anything. He walks in, balls out every single one of them for not turning up. It's an absolute disgrace. This is part of our club's history. Is this competition? You've done wrong. Da 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 da. We, oh, we lost every single duel. I'm not all for that. Things need to change, or we're going to get worse. And then he just walks out. Doesn't even let anyone say anything. He just walks out and does his press stuff afterwards. I think another thing that's helped Arteta in that period as well, around that period, sort of on that period scheme things, and in terms of the All Nothing documentary you mentioned there, was seeing the Aubameyang situation, how that actually went about. Because last season, in terms of last season itself, as we're living through it, all we're knowing is there's been a fallout. He's broken rules. We don't know what's going on. Who's in the wrong in terms of, have they actually reached out to Aubameyang to sort the issue out? This, that, and the other. We've had to wait till August this year to find out that actually no. And Aubameyang's the one that did slip in the actual documentary in his car to some random guy in the car park. That they offer basically in his car, as you know, he's like, oh yeah, they offered to talk to me and get upstairs and straighten everything out. And the person asked him, "So you're going to do it then?" He sort of and just revs his car and goes off. And I think seeing that happen, seeing them bits in the documentary, and obviously players living through it at the time, that's done nothing but benefit Arteta, because that's shown that at the time, in that moment in time, it's shown the players that Arteta's serious, no matter who you are in the club in terms of your structure, your position at the club, basically club captain, goal, or the key player, a starter, or whatever. No matter what, you're all going to be held to account by the same rules and the same non-negotiables, basically, as he puts it. And with that, we then suddenly saw the performances change until the end of the season. Obviously, we didn't know what happened there, and we sort of fell off a cliff. But it's had a positive effect, and then the fans seeing that in the documentaries, that's had a positive as well, because the fans have seen what happened along with everything else in that season. And actually, they're saying, you know what, he ain't a bad manager. Yes, he's got a few flaws in his system last season, but he's learning. And again, people have to remember he's learning on the job, because this is his first managerial job, period.
Yeah.
And we are getting better. Now he's getting his squad, and that's the thing. He had a lot of messing he inherited from the mix of an Emery team, a Wenger team when he first came in. He's had to pull out all the roots of that were rotten and causing aggro in the club. Get all that out. Get his players in that he wanted, that he identified, that he believed would improve this club. And with that, we're now seeing, again, I keep saying it, we're not completed yet, but we are now seeing as actually being in a positive sense going up instead of stagnating or going down. We're going in an upwards direction where you can't really complain. There's some people out there in Spain, especially, that do complain, but that's up to them. But you can't really. For, as I said at the start of this recording, how can you be upset when your team is top of the league against a team that's got Haaland in their team, Man City, who's scoring for fun, by the way. We're above them at the moment, touch for now, until further notice, and we're top of our group currently. One more win, and we win our group, and we're in the last 16. We don't have to play a Champions League dropout until the late stages of the competition.
Now is another bonus.
Yeah, you always get some of them in every fan base, but it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other one I noticed in a big improvement, and it is Shatter, like Granit Shatter, like how he was a few years ago, just before Arteta came. He weren't the most favourite person at the club, but
No.
he seemed to gone from like this wanting out club to like probably one of the best players this season.
Yeah, I mean, we discuss it on my channel every now and then, especially this season. It comes up in conversation on the podcast or on the live streams that we do for the games and all that. That how he's managed to, with the help of Arteta and all that, but how he's managed to just turn everything around from a position, as you say, where he was a captain. We know what happened. We're not going to go into it, but we know what happened in that Palace game. He was getting abuse online, build up to that game. He's then lashed out when people were trying to get him to come off. The fans are like jeering because he's walking off pitch and sort of running off pitch, and we're 2-2. We needed to win the game, and he's reacted the way he has. He threw the armband down, threw the shirt down. It's all kicked off. There's been moments where he could have gone to was it Hertha Berlin? I think Hertha Berlin, and
Yeah.
that window for £40 million. Arteta put an arm around him and said, "No, I need you for the rest of the season. You're one of my players. I see you as a big key of my plans, basically." And then it happened again. Not this summer, the previous summer. We could have gone to Roma again. Arteta put an arm around him and said, "No, look, we want you here. Can't you work with me? I'll work with you. We'll get you in a place." And since then, since that moment where he could have gone to Roma, but he stayed, he's got better. He's got better and better. He's disciplined, and this is the thing for me. I've said this every time because we see on an international stage the technical side of his game that we're now seeing at Arsenal. Everything we saw with Switzerland, that was frustrating me because I've seen him play for his country in Euros and World Cups previous, playing out of his skin, playing fantastic football, pinging the ball, doing what he's doing now for Arsenal. But when he came to Arsenal, up till now, it was like we weren't seeing it. We were just seeing the bad discipline and things like that. And when he's doing interviews saying that's part of my game, I think it's frustrating because then we build a reputation of having a player that is happy and putting it out there to have a disciplinary record. But he's improved. He's sorted that out this season so far. Touchwood. He's not getting red cards. He's not getting silly bookings left, right, and centre. He's not getting suspended either, and he's leading by example. I mean, again, even in pre-season, it's carried over to this season. Every time we score a goal, him and Jesus get the team together on the pitch in a huddle and calm things down straight away. So everyone calm down. We're fantastic. We scored. Now we go again, and we're seeing it's come full circle now. It's got to a point in this season where it has come full circle where you say, with everything that happened, majority of the fan base wanted him gone a few years ago. Up till literally the back end of last season, most of the fan base still wanted him gone. It's now to a point where no one that I know of wants him gone. They absolutely love him. He's got his own song now. He's happy. He's talking about that. And I think, again, going back to the Emerson documentary, him saying what he says in the Emerson documentary, what you've watched as well, in terms of him as a person, taken away as a footballer, him as how that moment a few years back affected him and his family, and what he's had to do to get to a point where he's still at the club. I think that's helped him. That's helped him with the fan base as well, build a connection there. And it's in game by game, the connection's getting stronger and stronger. And I did a podcast a few weeks ago with Andrew, one of my regulars on my channel, and he was saying, wouldn't it be the fairy tale ending or a fairy tale story, going from where he was after that game and it all comes full circle. The full redemption arc gets the fans back on side, and he wins the league title in that same season and lifts the trophy, and the fans absolutely adore him and things like that. Because everyone talks about the Jamie Vardy situation, obviously when Jamie Vardy came from the non-league and came up for the late stages of his career to reach what he did. There's rumours about him having a movie done on him or a film done on him, but a bio documentary. I think that if we were to win the league this season, with all that, I think the Xhaka story, Granit Xhaka's story arc up to that, from that moment to this point now, would be an even better achievement. In my personal opinion, could be biased, but I think that'd be a better achievement than what Vardy achieved.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. What are you expecting from Forest on Sunday? From what you've seen of Forest this season?
Well, like I said off air to you, since they gave your owner backed publicly backed Steve Cooper, I do rate Steve Cooper, by the way. He's a good manager, and what he's done so far in his career, obviously the under-17s and all that, winning the World Cup for the under-17s, and then coming to you guys, obviously after Swansea, coming to you guys and taking you from where you were last season to getting you promoted and things like that, the football you play. I expect to see some good football, don't get me wrong, but because you're away, I believe it'll be more of a try and soak it up to an extent and do us on the counter. Try and get us on the counter every now and then. No, he did against Liverpool. We
Yeah,
go against against Liverpool last weekend, sort of thing. That sort of counter attack. And you've got obviously you've actually an Lingard, you've got Aurier. That Premier League proven that obviously they won't need that. They don't need that time to adjust to the league and all that. So, and they can sort of lead your team, like the one to players that haven't got that experience. You've got Steve Cook as well. I think it's still there. Henderson, he's having some good games this season, which is upsetting Man United fans apparently.
that's completely.
Yeah. It's not good. I don't think it's going to be. It's not going to be an easy game in the slightest. I think you're going to come at us in the sense of, as I say, initially just to try and get the protect your back line in terms of as a squad, as a team, defend. Come for the point, and as the game, and as the game goes on, the longer it goes on at 0-0 or whatever, come out of his shell and start counter attacking us. And I think that's the only way I can see Forest doing any damage to us in that sense. Especially if we commit too far, like we saw against United at the start of the season. If we commit, we go full on commit in terms of every player behind the ball into your half. That's when we can get get found out if you've got anyone that's really got some pace that can outpace our defence, and that's where I think we will get caught out. But as I expect a good game, some good football from you guys as well, because I rate Steve Cooper and what he's done. Not just what he's done at Forest, but that's really heightened it even more. Because as I say, you were where you were. Obviously, you're bottom of the Championship. Weren't looking favourites to go down at that moment in time, and he turned everything around just like that. And as I say, this season is his first season as a Premier League manager. Obviously, your first time in 23 years, and the media are literally out for Cooper from the get-go in terms of he's going to be one of the favourites to be sacked. And as the results weren't sort of hitting, started off okay, then they sort of went down a patch, purple patch, result-wise. As you know, they saw the media like literally pitchforks out, ready to hang him out. And then from out of nowhere, and all the rumours are going around as well at that same time about Steve Cooper going to be sacked and someone else is going to be ex certain person is going to be brought in. The next day, announcements made that he's got given a new contract, and I think that spoke volumes. And then since then, as I said before, the performances have slowly and gradually started to get better because now the players know where everyone stands from the ownership side of things downwards in terms of the manager. They can actually get behind the manager now and actually go, you know what, we know there's something that we've got security in our manager now in terms of he's here for the long term, unless we absolutely fall off a cliff or whatever. But that's why I think that's why you're seeing as I say, that's why you're seeing the performances are getting gradually week by week better and better, because now you've got that security in your manager. The players believe now know that will now no, I've got no doubt in terms of having to perform, because if they now know if they don't, the manager's got the full backing of the owner, so they're the ones that'll be dropped to the bench.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more and with what you said there. And then it is from a false neutral that for him to get that contract, it calmed everyone down, and now they can start to really build something. Whereas the job we did with like last season's squad, and even though he had like 2, 3 managers worth of players, for him to like build it like he did, then got us up, then having to rebuild the squad, his squad, because he not had a lot of his players from last season. It's hopefully now he's got that contract, he can start to build something.
Yeah.
Have you got a score prediction for Sunday?
Ooh. I'm gonna go for 2-0. As I said, it's gonna be a very tight-fisted game, especially in our form and all that. But I think that's because we are at home. If it had been at City Ground, I'd be fearing that you could nick a 3 points from us, because obviously you're at home. We've seen you do it last week against Liverpool, and recently when we played it at City Ground, you've beaten us. So, and the thing is, what's the scary thing is when we do play at the City Ground later in the season, it's on my birthday, so I'm not going to be a very happy boy, I don't think. Come May 19th or May 20th, sorry, when that happens, because it'll probably be moved to 20th. Yeah, my birthday weekend, blimey. But I think because we're at home, and the fact of the fans, as I mentioned before, that the crowd's going to be absolutely insane there. I'm going to be there myself, and with your fans being there, it's obviously to go back and forth. I think your fans will be fantastic there as well. Go the back and forth between the fans. But still, I think just because we're at home, I think we'll just have enough to get us over the line.
Yeah, that's fair shot to fair. I think I'd be happy if we get a point to a fair, with it being at Arsenal and how good Arsenal are at home, and with the fan base. I'd be happy with a point to a fair, but I'm a little bit sat on the fence with it all. So
Yeah, just take it by the day, basically, and
yeah,
see what happens.
yeah,
But as I say, I want you guys to stay anyway. I want you guys to stay up anyway. At least as well, you can't break the Derby record. You've beaten the record. You've got the points now.
yeah. That's the thing.
That can't be done. But yeah, all jokes aside, I do want you guys to stay up, because you're great. You're a great club. Historically, you're a big club as well. 2 European. You don't deserve to not be in the Premier League. You're a huge club. There's 2 European cups, more than most clubs in this league. It's got league titles as well, and it's just a fan base and a club that deserves to be in the top flight of English football, not where you have been for the last 23 years, with all due respect, and going through the mill that you've had to go through. And I feel for you guys, because you've had some tough times in them 23 years, but I think them days are long gone by the looks of it, with how your owner's approaching this now.
Yeah, definitely. It has been a long time coming with the ownership and sorting everything out within the club. It is a lot more better one now than it was probably sort of their tenure where they had to sort out the mess. So it is a lot more better now.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what you need. You need that stability from the top to the bottom.
Mm,
Otherwise, you're going to have the yo-yo like you see with like the Norwiches and all that, up and down, up and down.
yeah.
And financially, in the long run, financially, that's not the thing to do, because obviously you'll get found out, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Do you want to say about your where people can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube on the Mr. Arsenal podcast, as it says on the screen there, the Mr. Arsenal podcast. YouTube, we do obviously a couple of podcasts a week. We cover both the men and women's sides in terms of match day watch-alongs as well. And occasionally, especially coming into Christmas now, going into Christmas in the next month or so, we're going to be doing some light-hearted stuff as well, around the like quizzes and things like that. Bit of a laugh, bit of a laugh around the Christmas period, and some family fun on that side of things. And a bit of obviously World Cup side of things. Keep an eye on World Cup in terms of England and how far they last and how that goes. And apart from that, I've got an interview lined up with the next Arsenal player, Paul Davis, during the World Cup at some point. Just got to sort out the date for it officially, but he will be coming on the channel for an interview / podcast, what you want to call it, on during the World Cup. As I say, he's got to sort out the date itself. Apart from that, you can find me on social media at Mr. Arsenal 89 for Twitter, and the Mr. Arsenal podcast on Instagram.
So do hit up on the Ryan's channel, guys. I'd like to thank you for coming on.
No worries. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for being patient with me this week.
It's like no worries. We got this.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say thank you for watching, guys. And goodbye.